I got a Patreon request from Joshua to review The Adam Project, a science fiction movie produced for Netflix and directed by Sean Levy. This movie tells the story of a young boy who meets an older version of himself from the future who's traveled back in time on an important mission. Something I've noticed about Levy's work is a lot of his projects feel like they come out of his own childhood fantasies, and when he became a director, that gave him the ability to make those a reality on the screen. Whether it's a museum where the exhibits come to life at night, giant rock'em sock'em robots, or doing really awesome things in an open-world video game. This even extends to the television shows he's worked on, like the famous Jet Jackson and Stranger Things. The Adam Project continues that theme of childhood wish fulfillment. And that spirit helps make this movie into an enjoyable one, as it has a lot of fun with the concept. You can sense a bit of that Amblin influence with some of the shots and storytelling choices, but Levy also makes enough of the film his own. A key ingredient of the movie comes from the two lead actors. It needs to be believable that Ryan Reynolds is the older version of Walker Scobell, and the film does succeed in that regard. From the moment the younger Adam starts talking, he absolutely sounds like how you would expect a 12-year-old Reynolds to sound like. And when they encounter each other, the conversations have the required bounce to them, and they play off each other well. However, the filmmakers are also smart to not make them exact identical characters. After all, nobody is the same person they were 30 years earlier. We evolve and change as we learn new things, develop our personalities, and deal with the problems life throws at us or the decisions we make. The older Adam is depicted as someone who has his regrets for some of his past actions, especially the way he talked back to his mother and tries his best to teach his younger self to avoid those mistakes that he looks back on and wishes he had not done. People mostly associate Ryan Reynolds playing quippy characters who often make smart and sarcastic remarks, and we see that here too. However, I think he's also proven himself to have dramatic chops when given the opportunity, and he displays that in a few moments in this film. There are a lot of nice character moments throughout the movie that properly dig into the relationships between them. Whether between Adam and his late father or Adam and his wife, the film knew when to give time to these quieter, more dialogue-driven scenes in between the action-packed moments. Speaking of the action, there's a certain joy Levy brings to those action sequences too, especially when the two Adams fly a spacecraft as the villains give chase. While the movie does not break new ground in terms of the science fiction concepts it explores and the technology on display, that's okay, and the designers and visual effects artists did a good job of depicting vehicles, weapons, and other gadgets and gizmos in the movie. The main villain in the Adam Project is a dictator played by Catherine Keener who uses time travel for her own diabolical deeds. She's a pretty standard villain who loves doing evil things, and I felt she could have been explored a bit more. When we meet her younger self, she's depicted as someone who still retains some semblance of morality, and we're not given too much insight into how she lost that and became diabolically evil. Maybe it's a power corrupt situation, but it's not something they dive into. Another thing I want to mention about her is that they use de-aging effects to try and make Catherine Keener look 30 years younger, and it always looked off to me. I think digital de-aging is something that's not quite 100% there yet. The best use of it I've seen remains Michael Douglas in the opening scene of Ant-Man, although Samuel L. Jackson and Captain Marvel and the cast of The Irishman also looked alright. But it's definitely something that will probably take some more years to look perfect. Overall, I found The Adam Project to be a well-done time travel movie that put the premise to good use. It has fun with the concept of a child meeting their adult self, as well as the exciting adventure they find themselves on. Sean Levy is sometimes sought to bring a sense of wonder to the projects he's directed, but this feels the most like something that might have been produced by Amblin in the 80s and eventually becoming a favorite for many in the years since. It's also an example of how well Levy and Ryan Reynolds seem to work together. I enjoyed Free Guy, the first movie they collaborated on, and they appear to like each other, since Reynolds later hired him to direct the third Deadpool movie out this summer. Although there is an alternate universe where Tom Cruise wound up in this, and while I think Cruise would have done a good job too, I like what Ryan Reynolds brought to the role here. Now, if you've watched The Adam Project, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Joshua.